Really got quiet in here, didn't it? Good to be here. I'm Scott Garceau. Glad to be back, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the 2023 Unitas Golden Arm Award as we salute the best from today and honor our proud past here tonight at the Four Seasons. This award celebrates John's impact on the game and what he meant and did for our community. Tonight we honor a young man right here who follows in his footsteps. Right now we'd like to ask Father Justin Goff from the Cathedral of Mary our Queen to join us for the invocation. Father.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, source of all strength, you alone give us victory and make possible every virtue. We give you thanks for the blessings you have given us, especially to Jaden, his coaches, and his teammates at LSU. You remind us, O God, that the battles fought in the field are second to the battles fought in the heart. May our striving for physical excellence always be surpassed by our pursuit of good character and full integrity, that we may receive not a crown that perishes, but one that is eternal. Make us in your mercy, Lord, instruments of good in the world to bless our communities, our cities, and our families with your love, justice, and truth. We make these prayers with confidence for you, our God, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Father. It's always a special night as we honor the legacy of John, who basically reinvented the quarterback position right here with the Baltimore Colts. Family members, teammates, friends, and fans in this room know how special he was and what John stood for. Tonight we honor a special young man who will receive the award named after John. Now let's welcome the president of the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Educational Foundation and son of the Golden Arm, John Unitas Jr.
Well, thank you, Scott, for serving as the MC again for this year. And I also want to acknowledge Scott was inducted into the Hall of Fame of sportscasters, so congratulations to you. I want to thank you all for coming here this evening to celebrate both my father's legacy and the man voted as the top college quarterback for 2023, Louisiana State University, LSU, Jaden Daniels. This marks our 37th year, and Jaden is the second recipient from LSU to receive the Golden Arm Award. Joey Burrow won it, 3 years ago? 2018? 19, yeah. So we're very excited that now we have two LSU winners playing against each other, so have fun. Needless to say, this is a very special foundation. It's very special to our foundation and our award. And I want to welcome Jaden, his mom Regina, his father Jay, head coach Brian Kelly couldn't be here, he's recruiting, and welcome back one of the hardest working SIDs, Brandon Barrio and his team from LSU. Thank you guys for coming, I appreciate it. I'm going to hit on a few things of Jaden's career, and I'm going to let Scott finish, because this list could be as long as this wall. This is how amazing this young man is. His LSU career numbers stand at 6,725 passing yards, 2,019 rushing yards. My father didn't have anywhere close to that in 17 years, by the way. And 8,744 yards of total offense. And on LSU's all-time list, he ranks number 2 as the TDs responsible for 79, and number 3 in total offense, 8,744 yards, and passing TDs, 57. And I'll let Scott finish the rest because it is tremendous stats that he has, and that's the reason why he won. This honor this evening is just one of many honors that lay ahead for Jaden, and I'm looking forward to seeing him take home the Heisman Trophy as well. There's more to Jaden than his football exploits. It's It's what he does off the field, and we commend him and you, Jaden, for your efforts in giving back and helping those who are less fortunate than you are. This is something my father felt very passionate about, so keep up the good work. In winning the Golden Arm, Jaden joins the family of quarterbacks, names we're all familiar with: Kenny Pickett, Joe Burrow, Peyton Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, Gardner Minshew, Andrew Luck, Marcus Mariota, and last year's winner, Max Duggan. We're very proud to say that we have 9 former winners still competing in the NFL, and soon to add number 10, right, Jaden? Okay. Candidates for the award, great. Candidates for the Golden Arm Award are judged not only for their athletic achievements, but also for their character, their sportsmanship, integrity, citizenship, scholastic accomplishments, teamwork, leadership qualities, and Jaden certainly leads by example. He's a true leader. Jaden clearly epitomizes all that my father envisioned when we established the Golden Arm Award in 1987. Jaden is not just a great quarterback, he's a great individual. And I had pleasure of spending time with him and his family today at Babe Ruth Museum, and I just got to say, you guys are terrific. You guys are really great. So thank you very much for the time you spent with us. It was great. In every way, Jaden measures to the high standards for which my father stood. Jaden is the worthiest recipient of this award, and I know my father would be very proud to see him here tonight. Beyond recognizing outstanding college quarterbacks, my father established the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Educational Foundation to give back to the community. The Golden Arm Foundation promotes football on all levels by providing financial aid to deserving young high school scholar athletes moving on to college to continue their higher education and attain their degree. To date, and I will say this, Jaden has already graduated from college at Arizona State, and he's pursuing, I believe, your master's in liberal arts. Is that correct, Jaden? It's terrific. To date, with the help of our sponsors, the foundation has awarded more than $750,000 in scholarships to deserving young athletes in both Maryland and Kentucky. To our sponsors, thank you for your support. It is your commitment in the sponsoring of this event that makes my dad's dream a reality, and making a difference to the scholar athletes whom we award scholarships to each year. I would like to thank my many sponsors who make financial commitments in order to make this evening and the scholarship awards possible. From our presenting sponsor, A.O. Smith Corporation, and their Director of Marketing, Mr. Jeff Story. He's here with us tonight, his daughter Molly, his significant other Lisa, and along with Lee Holmes and her husband Carter. And for those who don't know, A.O. Smith, can we cue to the video?
Johnny Unitas was the first to deploy the 2-minute drill. A.O. Smith was the first to develop the glass-lined steel tank. Johnny Unitas was the first to play 47 consecutive games with at least 1 touchdown. A.O. Smith was the first to launch a commercial water heater with a helical heat exchanger to deliver maximum hot water at the lowest possible cost. Johnny Unitas was the first to play 4 consecutive games with a 120 passer rating. A.O. Smith was the first to launch a truly comprehensive, high-efficiency product line featuring standard technologies, tankless, heat pump, and solar. Good things happen when 2 pioneering, innovative spirits come together. A.O. Smith is proud to sponsor the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award.
So A.O. Smith is our presenting sponsor. MedStar Union Memorial Sports Medicine, Brad Chambers, Ken Samet, Deborah Schindler, and the rest of your many doctors who care for our Ravens and the many other athletes in the universities and colleges throughout Maryland, I thank you very much. Appreciate your support, Brad. Thank you. I also want to thank Dunbar Security Systems, Kevin Dunbar, Jeff Berg, and Andrew Maggio. And where are you, Kevin? Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. And thanks for bringing Joe Fields. I also want to thank HMS Insurance Associates, Gary Burr, Steve Muchler, Dave Cadigan, Scott Reber. You're here. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support, buddy. Thanks. Also want to thank Tektronic Industries of North America, owners of the brands like Milwaukee Tool, the Dirt Devil, I want to thank Sean Daughtery and David Levish and his brother, I believe Edward, is here with us tonight, and your entire team. So thanks again for your support. And the setting for tonight's event, the Four Seasons of Baltimore, Inner Harbor Hotel. Lindsay Meckler, Rachel Mitnick, and the rest of your staff, you guys have done a fabulous job. I thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you. Also would like to recognize the many organizations that provide in-kind support for us as well. The Babe Ruth Museum, Sports Legends, Mike Gibbons, Sean Hearn, Katie Dick, Ed Mearholz. This display is from the museum today, so we thank you for bringing that by, Ed. Appreciate it. I also want to thank Coforce, who the production company that puts this on and does the live streaming. I want to thank Johnny Baker, John McLean, Adam Cosgrove, and the rest of your team. Thank you very much. You guys have been terrific. I want to thank Comcast, Robin Salza. Also want to thank AE2 Creative. Andrew Prasad and his wife Allison are here with us tonight. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. I want to thank Trey Incorporated, Brian Burlace, Caitlin Dash, and Courtney Waggle. Encore, the video team back there, Justin Day, Brian Lupo, and their video team. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much. Wolf Professional Security, Brian Wolf and your team, thank you so much for keeping us safe. And last but not least, George Raines and his wife, Extraordinary Worldwide Chauffeured Services. George, thank you very much. You'd be great, man. Thank you again. And last but not least, I want to thank my family, my wife Christine, my daughter Jillian, and my son-in-law, Anders Krohn, and our new additions to our family, our grandsons Luca and Liam, and I'm sorry they're not here with us. To my son JC and his wife Georgina, and for all your help, patience, support, and most of all, your love. I want to thank again for you all coming out here this evening and help celebrate the accomplishments of this very fine young man, Jaden Daniels. Have fun.
All right, we've got a few, everybody's special in here, but we've got a few special people we'd like to recognize at this time. First, the wife of Baltimore Colts Hall of Fame tight end John Mackey. She's a tremendous advocate for former NFL players and their families. The Sylvia Mackey Woman of the Year Award is presented by the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund. Sylvia Mackey. Next, a Baltimore Colt who had a 12-year NFL career. His rookie year in Baltimore was John's last year with the Colts, so the kid and the legend became good friends. He came to Baltimore from American International. Yeah, start looking for that. He came 50 years ago, and he never left, and we're glad he didn't. A fan favorite, former Pro Bowl safety Bruce Laird. This former Colt was also a Johnny U teammate. This linebacker had 34 interceptions, including 8 in a single season. Baltimore Colt player, Ravens broadcaster, now Calvert Hall coach, Stan White. We also have, this one wasn't on the list, but he's here and we want to recognize him. He is now the senior football advisor for the New York Jets, but a longtime Raven front office executive who did a great job putting together those Super Bowl champion teams. He was our guest speaker last year, Phil Savage. There's Phil and his wife Dorothy. And we have another special Colts wife with us. Tom Matte had a great career with the Colts and spent all 12 years of his career with John. And when John and Gary Quazzo went down with injuries in 1965, Tom, the running back, suddenly was the emergency quarterback. Hadn't done that since his sophomore, junior year at Ohio State, but he led the Colts to the playoffs as a quarterback. And the lady that wrote the plays on his famous wristband that's now displayed in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Judy Matte. There she is. Hi, Jude. And on this night, when we honor the legend of Johnny U, we can't forget another legend that spent so many nights with us at this event. He and John were close friends and icons in the same era in their respective sports. How lucky are we in Baltimore to have had these two that gave us so much? But as great as they were, they always acted like they were just one of us. Tonight we remember John's friend and our friend. He was here with us last year at this event. And Brooks Robinson, he'll always be with us. Our guest speaker tonight was a two-time Pro Bowl center and a two-time Super Bowl champion. At Georgia Tech, he played for legendary coach Bobby Dodd. In the NFL, he was coached by icons Vince Lombardi and Don Shula. After his playing days, he became a college head coach at Georgia Tech, Alabama, Kentucky, and Georgia State. He's been named ACC and SEC Coach of the Year and won the National Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year award. When he wasn't coaching, he was broadcasting college football for ESPN. Who better to speak at the Golden Arm Award than the man whose rear end was pressed against John's golden hands for 6 seasons? John's teammate, close friend, and friend of this foundation, please welcome Bill Curry.
Scared me coming down the stretch there. Just think, only in America could somebody who spent 20 years doing this one ridiculous thing be allowed to participate in an event like this, honoring such a great person and so many wonderful people that have already been recognized. You see, what my job was to hike the ball and be run over slowly. I'm so indebted to so many people in this room tonight, I would take up all of our time if I took the time to thank each of you, but you know who you are. But quickly, the ones that are unavoidable, my wife Carolyn for one. Carol and I met in the 4th grade, and by the 6th grade, I predicted and proclaimed that she was going to be my wife. My father said, "That is the best idea you've ever had, Bill. Is Carolyn aware of your plan?" I said, "No, not yet. I'm working on it. She's taller than me, she can outrun me, and she's a lot smarter than I am, and she won't speak to me." It took me 6 years to get a date, but I am very, very persistent. And next Wednesday night, we will celebrate our 61st anniversary. She is the light of my life, and she's the reason that I'm still breathing. God bless you, sweetheart. So I've been in love with this woman. You calculate, do the math, 69 years. She's been in love with me for almost 6 years now. I started doing the dishes. Guys, that works. Get in the kitchen, do the dishes. Mama will love you for that if she doesn't like you for anything else. Some other very special people that are here tonight that must be recognized. Tom and Judy Maddie. Every year when we would come up for training camp, our children and Carolyn would hang out, and Judy would put them up, and our daughter named her Juju. And by the time she was about 2, I would say, "Well, what do you want to do today, sweetheart?" "Go Juju's house." And I found out later that Juju was giving her candy every time she went over there. But the Maddies extended their home to us and loved my wife and children, and we will never forget you for that, Judy, you and Tom. John Mackey and Sylvia literally adopted us. I'll never understand it, but I'll be grateful. As long as I breathe, Sylvia, I will remember the way you and John welcomed us really into your family. and changed our lives having grown up in the Jim Crow South. We didn't understand a lot of things. And John and Sylvia took their time and effort and their gentle nature and their incredible intelligence to inform us of certain things that we should know about. And then the only one big mistake that I made, and it was all John's fault, he talked me into being president of the NFL Players Association, and I will never forgive any of y'all for that. But when John decided you were going to do something, that pretty much was the end of the conversation. We had a guy in our clubhouse in Baltimore named Peter Seiden, who was just a teenage guy, not just a teenage guy, but a very bright teenage guy who helped with the equipment, but he was also a wonderful friend and has stayed friends all through the years. And Pete came down on his own from New York City just to attend this event in honor of John. And Pete, you're here somewhere. Where are you? Stand up, Pete. Pete Seiden, please. You didn't stand up. Stand up, Pete. Thank you. The John Unitas magic that affected everybody in this room, certainly, and to some extent, it could be argued, every breathing soul in the United States of America. I watched him as we traveled. I watched people's response to him. I watched people as they respond to him today when they realize who I am and begin to ask about him. Now, I'm not going to say that this is a typical response, but it is a legitimate and a sincere response. But I was introduced to the great Leo Mazzoni. Some of you may recognize that name because by actual record in the books, in every professional sport, the most successful assistant coach in the history of sport, in any sport, is Leo Mazzoni. He was the Atlanta Braves pitching coach all through those years of Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz. And their records before they joined him and after they left him put against the record they had while he was coaching them, there's no comparison. He was the best coach of all time in any sport. Well, I'm introduced to Leo. I'm an old baseball freak. So I'm excited. I'm shaking Leo's hand. Hey, Leo Mazzoni, wow, it's so good to see you. And I'm standing there, and then I'm trying to get my hand back, and nothing's happening. The guy won't let go of my hand. And I look across at him, and he's got tears in his eyes. And I'm thinking, Leo, are you okay? Is there something wrong with you? Big old tear streams down his cheek. He said, I can't believe I'm holding the hand that snapped the ball to Johnny Unitas. I said, oh, you're from Baltimore. He said, yeah. That's not the only time I've gotten a similar response. There was a magic about John Unitas. And I watch quarterbacks differently than other people watch quarterbacks because I also snapped the ball to some other people that were really, really great. And I want you to know something, Jaden. You have the magic. You have the magic. You can be as great as you want to be. You put in the hours and you put in the concentration, you put in the absolute devotion, and you lead the way. I've seen you lead because I've watched you, and I've met your folks, and I feel the love and the togetherness of this family. And I believe that you can be effective in the same way that Johnny Unitas was. They say that the 1958 Baltimore Colt, New York Giant game was the greatest game of all time. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe. I know it's the first time I ever watched an NFL game from start to finish because I was not interested in the NFL. I had two goals in life. Number one, marry Carolyn Newton. Number two, pitch for the Yankees. It's the only two things that I even thought about. I didn't watch pro football. I didn't care about, I didn't know who Johnny Unitas or Raymond Berry were, or Alan Amici or Marchetti or any of them. I didn't care who they were. My dad said, well, how about if we watch this game here? So we sit down. I actually watched a pro football game from start to finish. And my life was changed. I was a high school football player, but I was just out there passing time. I wasn't busy being as good a player as I should have been. After that game, something changed. But it wasn't the Colt team. It wasn't the victory. It wasn't the hoopla of football taking over America's dream. It became the obsession with understanding the magic of that leader, that number 19, and what it was. And I never heard him say anything. I never read a fancy speech or a declaration, because then I began to learn, I began to understand at the tender age of 16 that if you're a great leader and a great performer, you never have to tell anybody. All you do is produce. Give your best every instant, every snap, with all your heart. If you're great, you don't have to tell people you're great. You see, we've lost that virtue in most of our leaders today. I believe that. I fear that. Through circumstances beyond my control, except for the fact that I wasn't good enough to stay on the Green Bay Packers, other than that, it wasn't my fault. Vince Lombardi decided to put me on the expansion list, a fate worse than death. And to make it even worse than that, the New Orleans Saints, who didn't exist, claimed me off the world champion Green Bay Packers, and I had started Super Bowl I. I even hiked the disputed field goal snap that the Baltimore Colts still believe cost them the championship in 1965. The day I showed up for the Baltimore Colts, Tom Maddy greeted me at the gate and said, "You got my ring on." I said, "Excuse me, let's see what it says here. C-U-R-R-Y, is that you?" He laughed and hugged me, and we became brothers from that day forward, because he was being a gentleman about it. But they really believed that field goal was no good. I have no idea. I was at the bottom of the pile. I was always at the bottom of the pile. Nonetheless, I'm walking into the Baltimore Colts. This guy, claiming to be Don Shula, had called my house not long after the Saints had done the horrible thing of claiming me. And I thought for a minute it was one of my buddies, so I almost blew it by smarting off. But then, for once in my life, I thought, I better play it straight, because this really might be Don Shula calling me. It was Don Shula. He said, "Bill, I've been working on a trade, and we're thinking that we might include you in that trade, but I got to ask you a question. I know you've been a starter, but would you be okay with coming to the Baltimore Colts if I only put you on special teams?" You see, Shula was the first coach I'm aware of in professional football that properly emphasized special teams, and all my buddies here, my teammates, will remember how many hours we spent on special teams, especially during training camp. And he said, I don't want to trade for you and find out that you're not going to be happy. Now, I was just a throw-in the deal. The Saints wanted Quazzo, and Shula wanted that number 1 draft choice that was going to be Bubba Smith. And they were just haggling over a couple of guys that they might throw in the deal, and I was one of those. He said, "Would you be okay with coming to Baltimore and playing just special teams?" I said, "Coach, I would walk to Baltimore to play for you." And I meant it. I meant every word of it. So I'm walking to practice the first day, and I had thought, well, we'll go to Baltimore. Probably it's a lot like Green Bay. It's north of Atlanta. So it's going to be nice and cool up at Westminster, Maryland. It was about 1,000 degrees, and I'm trudging down to the practice field, which is down in a hole. And all my buddies here, my teammates, remember that hole. And John, I know you remember it. And I'm walking down, I'm already sweating, and here's Johnny Unitas, who's already been the most valuable player in the NFL and called the greatest player of all time. Being called the greatest player of all time, he had been voted that, and he's whistling a happy tune. He's got on a rubber jacket, and it's 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So I just thought, being a wise guy, I'm going to make an impression on this great man. "Hey, John, what are you so happy about? What are you whistling? You're whistling a happy tune. He said, I'll never forget this. If I live to be 1,000, he looks over at me and says, Billy, you know you're going to be a long time dead. I said, what'd you say? What'd you say to me? He said, you're going to be a long time dead. What does that mean? If you only got a few days on this earth. If you don't like where you're going today, then you might need to go somewhere else. I love to go to football practice. I love to practice football, and that's why I'm going there. You don't feel that way? I said, well, I do now. My practice habit, yes, John Unitas. That actually happened. John Unitas, first words he said to me out of his mouth. So we practice, and God knows we practice. Shula's training camps were twice as hard as Vince Lombardi's. I'm not making this up. Twice as hard, twice as long, both practices in pads, full speed. A lot of times special teams in the middle, and sure enough, he stuck me on every special team. That was fine with me. In fact, we had a near fist fight in our very first game. I clipped a guy. Rick Vogt ran a punt back 80 yards, and I got called for clipping right in front of the bench. Shula runs on the field, grabs me, shakes me, and delivers, how shall I say this? He delivered some rhetoric that Lombardi would have been proud of it. It was rough, you could say. Well, me being a competitor and him coming across the white line, I responded with worse language than he had used. I screamed in his face because I didn't think I had clipped. So we're watching the films on Tuesday morning, and John Sandusky, the assistant coach, says, Curry, is that a clip? I said, well, it might be. Don't know. He said, well, let me make a suggestion to you, Curry. Next time you decide to dog cuss the head coach on national television, you be damn sure that it's not a clip. Do you understand? I said, I think I got it, Coach. So I went and found Shula. He took me back in the equipment room, and I'm stammering around. I said, Coach, I'm so sorry. I'm out of line. I was stupid. I got a big mouth, and I've always been in trouble for shooting my mouth off, and I should never have spoken to you like that, and I promise you it'll never happen. Carolyn's flying in with our 5-week-old baby girl the next day, and I'm going to have no job. I'm going to pick her up at the airport, and we're going to drive back to Atlanta. So I'm just praying that he doesn't cut me after one game. You know what he did? He smiled. And he said, I kind of like that. Just don't clip the guy. End of conversation. So we were going to be aggressive and to be the most aggressive team in the league, and we're not going to be penalized. And John Unitas, even though he and Shula didn't always hit it off, you don't put two thoroughbreds in the same pasture. We learned that when we moved to horse country. But they were two thoroughbreds, and those two came together in a way that was so forceful and so magic, and John could take it on the field. That did not include Shula changing his play calls. Somebody could come running in with a play, and John would say, get back, I'm calling the plays here. And he would send Shula's plays back to him. I never heard quite how that was resolved. So we practice, and we practice, and we practice. And I'll never forget trudging up that hill. I'm so relieved after we run the dreaded gassers. And we've all lost 12 or 14 pounds to dehydration. And I fight my way into a shower. We had 3 shower heads, no air conditioning. So you try to take a shower, you try to dry off and put your clothes on. Your clothes are going to be soaking wet because you're still sweating bullets. You're not going to stop sweating for several hours. And I come back out of the locker room. Now we're losing the light at Westminster, Maryland. And there's somebody still on the practice field. This is an hour after practice. This is after I stayed out for long snapping and then trudged up the hill. There's somebody still, who is that? Are those high school kids from Westminster High School? I walk over and I look down, and on the practice field are John Unitas and Raymond Berry. And they're throwing one pass route after another. A post, a dig, a curl, a swerve. All the routes tryouts over and over and over. And these were people that had already been named All-Pro several times each. Greatness does not come because you show up great. Greatness comes because you are willing to work twice as hard as anybody else. And I decided, once again, my practice habits are going to improve. I was a different player after I'm so sorry. No, I really am.
It's not just about the number of touchdowns or passing yards thrown. It's more than athletic ability. It's the qualities of the player on, but more importantly, off the field.
He was my dad. Every Monday after a game, we'd sit down in the basement, we'd watch film. Really did scrutinize the team he was going to play that coming week. But he was definitely into winning, whatever it cost.
It's about innovation, teamwork, it's leadership, athletic ability, sportsmanship. It's about character.
These players, they're epitome of my dad. They give back, they play hard, they know it's a team sport.
Each year we present this prestigious award to one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Join us this year as we search for the next in line to join the family of Golden Arm Award winners. It's not just about the number of touchdowns or passing yards thrown. It's more than athletic ability. It's the qualities of the player on, but more importantly, off the field.
He was my dad. Every Monday after a game, we'd sit down in the basement, we'd watch film. Really did scrutinize the team he was going to play that coming week. yeah, he was definitely into winning, whatever it cost.
It's about innovation, teamwork, it's leadership, athletic ability, sportsmanship. It's about character.
These players, they're epitome of my dad. They give back, they play hard, they know it's a team sport.
Each year we present this prestigious award to one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Join us this year as we search for the next in line to join the family of Golden Arm Award winners.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, and I thought long and hard about this, but I think really I should start the speech over. Every Sunday, we gathered in the locker room before we took the field to play our game on what we called our Astro Dirt. It was the Orioles field, and it was mostly infield. We thought that was a big advantage for us because nobody else could run on Astro Dirt like we could. And so we'd gather up in the locker room, and the coaches would leave us in there. And Freddie Miller, our LSU defensive captain, great football player, great person, would give this impassioned speech to the defense, and we're going to run to the football, we're going to get after the passer, and we're going to gang tackle and all these things, and the defense would get all excited, and then he'd turn and he'd say, John, he was captain of the offense, John Unitas, you got anything to say? John standing up against the door with his legs crossed like this, and he's looking around the room. And he and Vince Lombardi are the only two people I can remember who seem to have the ability to capture eye contact with all 40 people in the room, but they did. And John would look around the room for a few seconds, and then he always said exactly the same thing. Talk's cheap, let's go play. And he'd walk out the door. We would have followed him into hell without a thought. You don't have to tell people when you're great. All you have to do is be great. And then, if we won the coin toss, and many times the guys will stop me in the airport, believe it or not, people ask stuff like this. Hey, Curry, what's your greatest thrill in football? Here's my greatest thrill in football. It wasn't a Super Bowl ring, and it wasn't a championship, and it wasn't a Pro Bowl, and it wasn't any of those things. It was this. If we won the coin toss, the offense was introduced first. If the offense was introduced first, the center was the first position introduced. So the broadcast, the PA guy would say, and starting at offensive center, number 50 from Georgia Tech, Bill Curry. And so I would trot out onto the AstroDirt to the 50-yard line and peel over to the bench and set the huddle. Then he would introduce another starting player and another, and there was a lot of applause because we had what was called then the world's largest outdoor insane asylum. Our crowds were really loud, and they were loud, they were nice. They applauded, they clapped for us regular guys. And so eventually there'd be 10 guys in the huddle, and we're all steady there waiting. And the next thing you hear is, and at quarterback, number 19 from the University of Louisville, and that would be the last thing you would hear because the noise was deafening. It was rated by the decibel people, whoever they are, to be the equivalent of 2 jet engines blasting out. It was the loudest noise in America up until that time. And number 19 would trot out there to the middle of the field and then wiggle his way over and get into the huddle, and that little blink of his, stick his head in the huddle. By that time, we were all crying. We were veterans. We'd been playing a long time. We weren't rookies. We had tears in our eyes, and the game was over. The opponent didn't know that the game was over, but they didn't have a chance because that moment was the highest moment I ever experienced in my entire 20 years of playing football. Just listening to John Unitas be introduced at his stadium and to be a part of his tribe, of his unit, of his team, because what he really cared about, without ever saying it, was our team, those men in that huddle. And he would not allow us to come apart, and he would confront us if it appeared that we were going to. I remember a game we played against the Bears. Pretty sure it was 1970, and it wasn't a good day for any of us. John threw a couple of interceptions, and we fumbled, and Butkus is over there knocking the ball loose and screaming and jumping up and down and just having a wonderful time. And the score is 17-0, we're down. After each fumble, after each interception, John would trot off the field. And he never changed expression. And Glenn Ressler, our left guard from Penn State, who never said anything about anything, says to me, does he realize what's going on? I said, I think he does, Glenn. John's expression never changed. The last play of the game, Sylvia, you'll remember this, it was an 80-yard touchdown to John Mackey for us to win the game 21-20. And I made a point of watching John Unitas exit the field after the triumphant touchdown pass. He did not ever change expression. He just trotted off because all he was doing was his job, which is to do everything right all the time. And when it doesn't go right, to fix it in time to win the game. And we had a privilege of being a part of that. So what does that mean? That means there's a kind of a magic. In our sport, maybe there's magic in other sports. I don't know. I loved high school baseball and basketball, and I played them. And we had some really good teams, and we had a little magic on those teams. But we didn't experience anything like this. So what were we doing when we were out there with this person who was really not like the rest of us, and this person for whom we don't have words to express his charisma and his effect on us, what he can do for you when you don't think you can take another step. Because let me tell you something, in the fourth quarter, when there's 1:14 on the clock and you got 80 yards to go for a touchdown, you're 4 points behind, and it's 102 degrees Fahrenheit, and I've played 22 games in a row and I have not missed a snap. I want to tell you what I am not thinking about. I am not thinking about winning the game. I'm not thinking about another Super Bowl ring. I'm not thinking about protecting the quarterback. I don't care what happens to the quarterback. I'm thinking about one thing because I'm a human being. I'm thinking about quitting. I want to quit. Give us a break, buddy. You just said that. Thank you. Correct, yes. Moving right along here. And I'm almost finished, seriously. But my buddies, my teammates out here know exactly what I'm talking about. You think about quitting and you decide, I can't do this anymore. You see, in our business, I don't have to leave the field to quit. I don't have to go over and suck on the oxygen. I'm thinking, all I gotta do is turn my shoulders ever so slightly and let Joe Green or Alan Page run, or Deacon Jones run back there and do what he does to quarterbacks. That's all I gotta do. And then we can all go home and nobody would know, right? Wrong. Everybody would know on our team. So what is it that makes people go when nothing else will? The still small voice that comes from the heart of your leader, from your teammate, and indeed your heart in time, and it says, don't you dare. You bend your knees, you move your feet, you keep your head up, you protect Jaden till the cows come home. You give him time, don't you dare let them touch him. You sacrifice your body. What is that? That's love, is what that is. Because you see, when we forget about our stupid differences, when we forget about our racism and our anti-Semitism, when we forget about our misogyny and our hatred of other groups just because they look different or feel different or think different from us, when we forget those things, when we come together and we truly grasp hands and we get into our 2-minute drills and we're in agony and we have to produce, our capacity, when we reach across those lines and join hands, our capacity to do the right thing does not increase arithmetically. It does not increase geometrically. It increases exponentially, and it does it in an instant, so that at the end of that awful trial or game or period of time or whatever it is, we can look each other in the eye and we can know on this day we took the leadership seriously. We took the greatness of a John Unitas. We took the greatness of our own togetherness, and we made all the difference. That's what great leaders do to other groups of guys like me. God bless you for being here tonight and honoring this great young man and honoring our great older brother. It is such a privilege to have been a small part of it. And thank you for coming back after the interruption.
Bill, I think it's obvious that everybody enjoyed all 3 parts of your speech. I see one more face I'd like to introduce. It's an LSU night. Jaden here. This man played on the LSU championship team for Les Miles, but we know him around here. He is the head football coach at Loyola Blakefield. He's smiling a lot these days because they won the Turkey Bowl this year. Anthony Zayu's right here. Coach? A couple of Calvert Hall guys in the building, Anthony, so watch your step. One sitting right in front of you. Character, citizenship, leadership, academics, all important considerations for this honor. And it helps to have a golden arm, right? If you're not a great quarterback, you probably won't be sitting up here. This is a football award, but also those qualities in a person that John valued, like toughness. You heard it from Bill, but you ask any of John's teammates about his greatness, and they usually don't bring up the play he made here or the pass he made there. They talk about his toughness, his leadership. John would admire Jaden's toughness and leadership. This year's Missouri game, a prime example. He was knocked down with a painful rib injury, and if you look at the highlights, you see him trying to throw on the sideline. He's wincing every time he throws the football. Well, in the second half, he completed 10 of his 12 passes. He threw 3 touchdowns in the game. His team was down. They came roaring back, and won 49-39 in a great comeback, and he was named SEC Offensive Player of the Week when he was hurt in that game. John Unitas-like. Leadership. Well, when the team voted for captains, nobody got more votes than Jaden. They knew he was a leader. And you can check the student-athlete box. John talked about it early. Graduated from Arizona State and now pursues his master's degree at LSU. His numbers, John touched on a couple. They're crazy good. I could stand up here for 30 minutes and talk about his highlights, but let me give you just a few. He was the SEC, last time I checked, excuse me, that's a pretty good conference, right, the SEC? He was SEC Player of the Week, not once, not twice, 5 times this year, SEC Player of the Week. He ran for over 1,100 yards this season and 10 touchdowns. He averaged 8.4 yards a carry. His golden arm completed over 72% of his passes for over 3,800 yards. That's this year. And he passed for 40 touchdowns this year, 40 touchdowns with only 4 interceptions all season long. He became the only player in FBS history to rush for 200 yards and pass for 300 yards in a game. He had 606 total yards, 234 rushing, 372 passing. That was in a win over, not a bad team, the Florida Gators. Pretty good stuff. This year, he leads the nation in total offense, passing TDs 40, responsible for 50 touchdowns, leads the nation there, leads the nation in passer rating 208, yards per attempt, rushing yards by a quarterback 1,134, and yards per play 10.71. He's third nationally in passing yards per game at almost 318 yards a game. Yesterday, the SEC coaches voted Jaden the Offensive Player of the Year. Besides the Golden Arm Award tonight, he's a finalist for 3 other national awards, the Walter Camp National Player of the Year, the Davy O'Brien, and the Maxwell Award. And Saturday, he's one of 4 in New York for the Heisman Trophy Award. I think we can agree that all that is a Golden Arm resume, and as John would say, enough talk. Let's take a look at number 5. That kid named Jaden. Check out the highlights.
What's up, John Unitas? How you doing?
Jaden, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Listen, I wanted to personally congratulate you on winning the 2023 Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award.
I appreciate that.
And you've earned it. You have earned it.
Thank you so much.
It's been an incredible year to watch him play, and this offense has been prolific, as you know. And Johnny Unitas is synonymous with obviously greatness, and I know Jaden feels the same way. The golden arm. All right, let's go. You got to give him the golden arm, right?
We'll do that.
And now I'd like to have John and Bill present the 37th Golden Arm Award to LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
Deserve it. It's heavy.
This thing pretty heavy. I ain't gonna lie, I'm just excited to be here, honestly. First time in Baltimore. First time on the East Coast, so I thank you guys, for accepting me and, showing me great hospitality. Before I go any further, I always like to give glory to God, for saving me and giving me these skills and talent. Everything that I need to be up here to be successful in life, so thank you to him. There's a long list of people, I can't name everybody, but that helped me out throughout my career, throughout my life, to get to this point. So if you guys are watching this, you guys know who you are. First, I'd like to thank Coach Kelly, Coach Denbrock, and Joe Sloan, my quarterback coach. Coming to LSU, trusting in me, to go out there and lead the team, lead the program, and kind of just write my own legacy, set my own records and stuff like that. So I thank them and trusting me and be a leader also. TK, appreciate you, dog, for everything. We started working out at ASU, and now we're here. Thank you for everything. Coming home and helping me out, helping me get better. Everybody, I want to thank my O-line, because without them, I wouldn't be in this position. They're putting their body on the line for me to protect me and keep me upright. I love you guys. I hope you guys see this. Also, just all my teammates, receivers, running backs, blocking on perimeter when I'm running, so I can big runs, catching the ball, making contested catches. And I want to say one more thing. Hopefully I get this out here. Malik Neighbors for Belinikov. He needs to win the trophy. I want to thank everybody that coached me. My San Bernardino Pop Warner years, all the way to Cajon High School. My former teammates, that still support me to this day. You guys mean a lot to me. You know how much the support means. You're my brothers, and I love you guys. I'd like to thank my mom and my dad, my biggest fans and supporters. Without you guys, I wouldn't be in this position. I'm blessed to have you as my parents, and I love you guys more than words can explain. I'd like to thank you, the selection committee for the United family, for welcoming me open arms. To everyone here, I can't believe it to say how honored I am to receive this award. When I look at the past winners, I realize I'm in an elite company. Super Bowl champions, NFL vets, quarterbacks who elevated the position in this game. Even though they're the best at the position, that's not why they're selected. This award goes beyond skills to more important things like characteristic, scholar, achievement, and leadership. All of these qualities have one thing in common: you don't have to be 6 feet tall, or have a golden arm to achieve them. You need to have faith, hard work, and a lot of special people to help you along the way: teachers, coaches, mentors, parents, grandparents, and family. This award recognizes not just the player, but also the person the other 6 days of the week. A lot of people know Johnny Unitas for the amazing and tough player he was, one of the greatest to ever play, the model of the modern quarterback. But Johnny Unitas was much more than a quarterback. He was a husband, a father, a grandfather, and someone who cared deeply about his community. Some of the stuff I embody, other than the father and grandfather, and husband. But at the end of the day, what we do off the field will matter much more than what we do on it. It's great to see the Johnny Unitas legacy live throughout his family. I want to thank you guys for inviting me up here, and awarding me this trophy. I'd like to take these last few moments to talk about the legacy and remember a few people who are important to me. It starts with my grandparents. They passed away in the beginning of 21, so they were there for me every step of the way in my life until they passed. They picked me up from school, took me to practice, and always kept me laughing and smiling every time I was with them. People wonder how I stay cool in the pocket. Well, I'll tell you my secret. It's because I had grandparents who showed me how to be brave in the face of adversity, how to keep smiling after you take a hit. I call them Papa and Nana. I love you guys. I miss you guys. I wish you guys could be here to see this moment. I'm sorry. I know you guys are watching me, I just wish you guys were here. You love me, and I was taught to be myself, always, to be humble, but also to be legendary, and most importantly, always be joyful. And that's what I'm going to do every day to honor you guys, and I just want to say thank you guys.
Good hands. Well, Jaden, with the Golden Arm Award, you're in some good company. John mentioned some of the names, but 4 years ago, your LSU Tiger, Joe Burrow, sat in that same seat. Other winners, Andrew Luck, Matt Ryan, Eli Manning, Carson Palmer, Peyton Manning. You are now in a special fraternity. I think you know that. And it's quite a process that got him here tonight. An original list of nearly 50 of the nation's top quarterbacks. That's where it starts. That list was reduced to 10 and then reduced to the final 5. The other finalists this year, J.J. McCarthy of Michigan, Bo Nix from Oregon, Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, and Caleb Williams from USC. Some darn good quarterbacks. And this man right here is the one sitting up here. A year ago, C.J. Stroud having a big year in the NFL. He was a finalist. So as you can see, the selection committee has a tough job, and each year they do great work, selecting the best of the best. Jaden, congrats to you and your family. I can see how proud they are to share this with you, and as you said, your best fans. They've been through it all with you, and to see you sit up here tonight and what else you have going on, some of these other awards, the Heisman, fantastic. We know you'll represent all that's good about the Golden Arm Award, and we hope you enjoy your Heisman time in New York this weekend. Thanks to our LSU friends for joining us tonight. And Bill Curry, it's always good having you back in Baltimore. Good to see you. And also a special thanks to all of you for supporting the Golden Arm Foundation. Many of you have supported the Foundation Scholarship Program in the past, and if you would, and if you haven't, and would like to make a difference for a scholar athlete, again, it would be appreciated. But thank you very much. Congratulations to Jaden. Good night, everybody, and happy holidays.